There's a conversation that happens in the best episodes of the Netflix show Chef's Table, a moment where a chef describes not just what they cook, but why. Not just their technique, but their soul, and the series has spent a decade creating those moments on screen for millions of viewers around the world. This month, Andrew Freed this month, Andrew Freed is giving food lovers the chance to have that conversation in person, at the table, in the restaurant, face to face with the chef through the first ever Chef's Table Festival in Park City, Utah. Andrew is the Emmy and Peabody Award-winning CEO of Boardwalk Pictures, the production company behind Chef's Table, Cheer, Welcome to Wrexham, and some of the most celebrated documentary storytelling of the streaming era. And today he joins us to talk about the festival, the franchise, and the business of turning passion into cinema. We're very fortunate to be joined by him this morning. Andrew, good morning and welcome to Mountain Money.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so let's introduce you to our listeners. You started as an actor and comedian in New York, and then 9/11 sent you into the family real estate business, and then you found your way back to storytelling. At what point did you realize that documentary filmmaking was what you were meant to do, and what exactly pulled you back?
Oh, wow. Okay. So thank you for doing that much research about me. I suspect usually that my acting and comedy career is enough in my past that maybe the statute of limitations has expired on that. But I appreciate the research. Look, I feel like I was always a storyteller. I just had to figure out the medium and the means to do that, right? And so um, early on, in my 20s, just trying to be creative, trying to create story, trying to create art. I really think that some of the relationships that I formed in New York, um, again, I'm going back over 20 years ago, but I became really close with a theater group that included Lin-Manuel Miranda and Tommy Kail and Chris Jackson and a bunch of guys that were doing an improv show called Freestyle Love Supreme. And the conversations that we had about storytelling, I think really is what grounded what I would do for the next several decades, what I hope I will continue to do. Um, so Lin and his creative cohorts at the time. Lin had written In the Heights while he was in college. This was years before it would debut on Broadway and really change the game in many ways. Obviously, many years before Hamilton, but we really would sit around and talk about how we can take this very sort of niche thing. In Lynn's case, it was, uh, you know, a hip hop musical that he had written in college, a Latin hip hop musical that he had written in college. In my case, it was the documentary filmmakers that I was working for and around who were toiling away on, scratchy archival footage for, programs that would hope to see the light of day on PBS or at a few theaters around the country. And so, how can we attract more eyeballs? How can we attract more engagement to this thing that we are working on? And for me, it was that reality shows were having this huge boom, right? On networks, it was Survivor, it was American Idol, it was, I think, The Apprentice, even at that point. On cable, it was The Kardashians, it was Duck Dynasty, it was all these shows that were taking over. And when people said, "Why are you watching these reality shows now?" People would say, "Because I want something authentic." It's like,
Mm.
well, that those were anything but authentic, candidly, right? Those reality shows, with due respect, they are real people going through real things, but especially the cable variety of reality can be pretty contrived. Um, and so I set out to do something that was really entertainment first in the documentary space. That if people really want something that is authentic, let's give it to them, but let's give it to them in a way that they want it, right? So whether that's for a while, we really just said, let's make it beautiful, interesting, and weird, and we'll figure everything else out. I think that was a good marching order. Now, this thesis of mine, right, that we can have something between reality and documentary that's for the masses, um, is great to look at in retrospect because it worked out, right? That the business really did evolve. But at that time, think about what was happening. So the Jinx happened, which was a huge turning point for not only true crime, but documentary storytelling as a whole. That was, a watershed moment and a water cooler moment. Um, 30 for 30 started on ESPN. So all of a sudden, documentaries were, were starting. And then I met David Gelb, and David Gelb had directed the film Jiro Dreams of Sushi, which I was certainly a fan of. I met with David in his office. We talked about making a TV show together, and he said lame formats and hosts and right, like all the things that he had heard about and I imagine had engaged in the TV world. Um, and I said, well, if there were no lame questions and no lame needs, what would you really want to do in TV? And he said, well, I'd want to make Planet Earth for food.
Mm.
And that was the birth of Chef's Table. We sold Chef's Table to Netflix. It was Netflix's first unscripted original series. We have been going strong since our release in 2015.
I hear you tell that story, and I'm visualizing the two of you guys in a room with a bunch of suits at Netflix. How did you pitch it to them?
Well, so it was so early in the days of Netflix that it was right. Like Netflix was first of all, their offices were on Maple Drive, right? Like it was really the old days, and it was the red envelope days. I mean, I remember being in a conference room on Maple Drive that had a copy of the House of Cards script, right? Like in a museum box. Um, and I think they were in production on Orange is the New Black. I always make a joke, because I would say that, we're the longest running. I'm not going to say that. You can edit that out. But um, yeah. So it was more a conversation that we were having with them. David had directed Your Dreams of Sushi. I think it had found an audience on the platform. I think at a time when they were saying, "What if we started making originals?" So it was more of a conversation than a pitch. We pitched the six chefs we wanted to do for the first six episodes. That was the pitch as I remember it. I
Yeah.
wore a
So
sport jacket. The executive we've been working with now, it seems forever, Adam Del Deo at Netflix. He always likes to tease me that I wore a sport jacket and was all dressed up in like a suit for our first meeting at Netflix. But it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, I was right to have taken that meeting very seriously. It all worked
yeah.
out.
So the series has run for 7 seasons plus 5 spin-offs across 56 episodes. What's the secret to building a documentary franchise with that kind of longevity? And how do you keep the creative energy fresh season after season?
Well, I think the success of Chef's Table comes from the people who are featured, are chefs, right? I mean, the reality is that we tried to focus on storytelling. Chef's Table has always been about storytelling for us, right? Obviously, the food is a hero element, and people love talking about how beautiful the food is, and right. But we know from day one, you're going to watch this show, and you're not going to be able to smell or taste the food. So it can't actually be about the food. It has to be about something greater than that. And so we have been working on this connection between chefs and viewer, audience, community, whatever you want to call it. But we have been forging that connection in a world where you can't smell or taste the food. Um, and the people behind the camera who really are our team of storytellers who now at this point, the dirty secret of Chef's Table is that, excuse me, when you've been on for so long, as you start to populate new younger people to work on the series and build out that team, it's people who've been watching the show. It makes me sound very old, and I'm not a fan of when people say I grew up watching Chef's Table. Like that's not the way to get on my good side on day one. But there is a creative energy to that, to say, all that toiling away and all the storytelling and all the discovery that we were doing in those first several years is where these storytellers now start.
Mm.
Now, that speaks to the team at the head of it. I'd be remiss not to speak about David Gelb and the first conversation we had where he said, I want to do Planet Earth for food, and then just his evolution and continued evolution over time of how these stories are crafted and how to forge that connection with viewers.
Just to take a step back to, if there are viewers who haven't seen an episode of the show, walk us through the format. How does a typical episode play out?
I mean, look, we don't talk about format a ton because we really see them as individual films. I mean, there's a formula for us. Like at some point as storytellers, it's not quite like Neo in the Matrix where you see zeros and ones, but like, it does slow down for us a little bit. But it's really just an invitation into the lives of these chefs to understand their creative process, how they, in some ways, I think of Chef's Table episodes as like superhero movies, right? Like, how did this person discover that they had superpowers, right? How did they then harness them, right? At first, when you realize you have superpowers, they're kind of scary and you don't know what to do with them, right? It's a scene in the movie where you accidentally are setting things on fire. That might be the scene in the kitchen where you're accidentally setting things on fire as well. But so you have these superpowers, then you have to harness them, and then you have to figure out how to use them for good, right? And so that in many ways is the story of these chefs. How did they find their creative voice? How did they go through all of the challenges that one faces where they're doing something that everybody around them says is a little bit crazy? Why would you do that? There's such an easier way to do it. This is the way it's been done forever. Why would you reinvent the wheel, right? Like, so there are the challenges of that creative journey. Um, and then how they were able to overcome all of that and actually do the thing that they do that spreads joy and connection and hopefully great taste.
Yeah, I imagine you can't look in the yellow pages for superheroes. So how do you find and select these particular chefs? And has there ever been a chef that you approached and they said no?
um there are definitely conversations that we've had around scheduling and our needs from a production standpoint that make some of them far more difficult than others, right? So I don't want to sit here and say no one's ever said no to Chef's Table. Like there are logistics and practical realities. Some restaurants are in bigger locations that we can't actually have access to, so there are logistics. Um, that said, we are on the hunt for story. That is what we're looking for. And in the success of Chef's Table, um, I think the chefs very much turn us on to other chefs. I
Mm.
could speak personally. I was directing an episode about Dominique Crenn, um, now many years ago, but Nancy Silverton was the expert. If you've seen a Chef's Table episode, usually there's somebody, we don't like the chefs to say how great they are. We get other people to say how great they are. And so we had Nancy Silverton, who I was interviewing to talk about Dominique Crenn. And then, in a very human way, it was like, we got to do one of these with Nancy Silverton. And that was the episode that I directed next,
Mhm.
the following season. So the chefs often tell us, have you tried this? Have you been to this restaurant? Have you, right? Like it is a community of people who are creating food and hospitality and experiences for people. And so, much like an improv class, they are always yes-anding you. And so when you love their meal, they're telling you where you should eat next. And the story of these people. Have you met this person? Oh my God, he's amazing, right? She's the best. So in a very unscientific way, we are story chasers, and our community really points us in the right direction.
A different kind of Food Network, should we say?
Right. It's a very different kind of Food Network, I would say, at this point.
Oh, okay, let's talk about Park City. Why Park City? Why the Chef's Table Festival? And what are you modeling it on?
Look, for years, people have watched these incredible chefs and imagined, I think, what it would be like to sit at their table, right? We've talked about this already. Uh, I'm sure I don't know the exact percentage, but I like to think like 99% of the people who watch Chef's Table are never going to get to go to these places, right?
Right.
And never get to actually be a part of that. And so we wanted to take the idea of what it would be like to sit at these chefs' table, right? We wanted to take that idea off screen and let people actually experience it. Park City is like the perfect location in my estimation for this because we really wanted to ensure that this wasn't, there are plenty of food festivals. This is not with tents and plastic forks and plastic knives and right, like we wanted we believe that every dinner has a story. We wanted to bring those stories to like the most authentic place that we could bring everybody. So we didn't want to just bring 70 chefs somewhere and have them cook dinner. We have every experience really has a point of view. It's Park City for us, I think, to answer your question, is a place where there's there's far less, or I would say, I would argue, no barrier to entry, right? Like everybody's there. We're going to do this together. This is not a VIP room kind of event. This is an opportunity for everybody to sort of um, sit together at the table.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about it. Let's go down to a little of the detail.
Right.
What does the event entail, and who are some of the chefs you've got coming?
Yeah, so again, we didn't want to just bring 70 chefs to Park City and have them cook dinner. It's not about like sitting in the front of house and being handed a plate and saying, "Oh, this is delicious." It really was about this exchange, this storytelling experience. And so the experiences within the festival, each one of them has a point of view and story behind it, right? So at Handle, Beyond the Map brings Kwame Onwuachi and Santiago Fernandez together to explore cooking beyond borders.
Mm.
At Nelson Cottage, Folded with Purpose features Penelope Wong, the 2026 James Beard Award winner for Best Chef Mountain Region. At Matilda, The World's Within is an event that brings, together chefs to explore their stories and flavors and identity. And so when you're choosing a ticket, you're really choosing the story that you want to be a part of in addition to what you want to eat, if that makes sense. I think the festival is also just about discovering what's next in food, right? We didn't want to just have the Chef's Table has always been interested in people who are pushing food forward, and so we're bringing together not only established legends, which we love to be in their company, but we're bringing them with next generation of chefs and giving people a chance to discover someone they may not yet know, and that feels really special to me as well.
So you had mentioned no tents, no plastic forks. You're using 30 local restaurants.
Correct.
How did you make the decision on those restaurants?
I mean, it's really been a beautiful sort of collaboration with the people in Park City. And as a producer, whether it's a TV show, a film, or now a food festival, what we're looking for is enthusiastic partners, right? Park City has been that. The restaurants of Park City have been that. Like, it's a cliche to say rolling out the red carpet, but this has gone from an idea that we had, obviously, to something that is very real and happening, but it has grown and evolved in collaboration with the people and the business owners of Park City.
You're gonna have something like 100 events over 4 days. Uh, we'll get to the sort of the nuts and bolts about how people can buy tickets, but let's talk a little bit about the complexities of organizing something with that kind of infrastructure. How long have you been planning this thing?
Well, there's a lot of planning that goes into it, obviously, and in some ways, I feel like we've been planning it since the first day we started making Chef's Table, right? Like
Mm.
we've always had this mission of wanting to bring people together, right? Like again, even for those people who are lucky enough someday to taste the food, that's still not what we're talking about, right? So how long have we been planning it? It seems like a lifetime, but the food is obviously the star of this, but what makes Chef's Table special, I think, is the people. These chefs
Mhm.
have incredible stories, and we really, again, at the essence of this, We wanted to create opportunities for guests to actually meet them, hear them talk about their work, understand what drives them. Like it's I've always been a storyteller with a screen. This is storytelling around the table. It's just a very special opportunity.
So I take it these events will have relatively limited number of attendees, and that the event will be a combination of eating and talking.
Correct. Now, for ticket package holders, there truly are some genuinely like once in a lifetime opportunities. These are not, excuse me, these are not, for everybody to be able to attend because they're inherently rarefied. Like imagine sitting down with Massimo Bottura, having a conversation with Dario Cecchini, experiencing Jean Kwan's approach to food and meditation, or experiencing conversations with chefs you've watched on our show, hosted by Bon Appetit and American Express here. So like these are the kinds of moments that we're trying to create, and I think the specialness that we're talking about.
How do people get tickets? I mean, if we wanted to, for our listeners who want to go, how can they get tickets?
Yeah, so festival.chefstable.com is the website to go to. Again, it's festival.chefstable.com for ticket packages. There's also parkcity.chefstable.com for local ticket experiences, right? Like people travel all over the world to eat at these chefs' restaurants. We are bringing that level of culinary talent right to Park City. If you live in Utah, like this is a pretty extraordinary opportunity to experience this in your own backyard. It's year one of something that I hope we do for a very long time. Again, parkcity.chefstable.com for local ticket experiences. Like it I would embarrass myself just trying to explain just what I think we have in store for everybody.
And is this the first festival of its kind that you've put on?
Yeah. I mean, personally, I early in my career worked at the Tribeca Film Festival. I worked there 4 of the first 5 years, I think, of that festival. There's something magical. And again, year one, I mean, that was a very different thing. That was bringing people downtown after 9/11. But being a part of this festival again, as we are standing it on its feet for the first time, is very reminiscent of that feeling for me, right? The purity of a blank piece of paper, a weekend of dates, and just filling it with things that feel special, that feel worthy of everyone's time and attention, and hopefully doing it in a foundational way so that we can continue to build on it in years to come.
A blank piece of paper and an empty plate.
There you go.
Yeah,
So,
that was pretty good. I'll have to write that one down, guys. That was pretty good.
uh, what was I about to say? So this you just mentioned continuing. So this is not a one-off. Your plan is to have this year after year.
I mean, that's my hope. Maybe I
Yeah.
didn't vet it with the board of directors there, but I never want to go one place. I never want to go someplace once. And so, yeah, this feels like something that we are building, and exciting for me to continue to build it.
Yeah.
And look,
Sundance.
I know that it can be intimidating. Again, talk about festivals in general, whether it's a film festival, a food festival, or what have you. Like these it can be intimidating if you don't know exactly what you want. Like you just start. If you're overwhelmed by the lineup, that's okay. It's part of the fun. Go to the website, look at the chefs and experiences, find the table that speaks to you. Like there are individual tickets if you want to try one experience. There are packages if you really want to immerse yourself. Again, festival.chefstable.com is the main website, but there's a lot, and there's a lot to taste. Come hungry. Maybe we should say that too.
That's a perfect pitch.
Yeah,
Bring
come
your
hungry.
appetite. Well,
Bring your.
Sundance lasted 45 years. We wish you at least that amount of time.
I'll take it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we just spent a few minutes with Andrew Freed from sponsoring Chef's Table Festival here in Park City. Andrew, thank you very much for your time. I know you're a busy man.
Oh no, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. As you can tell, I'm excited to be able to talk about this stuff, and so I hope to see you guys there.
Yes.
We'll be
All
right
right,
back
we'll
after
see you
this.
there this week. Sorry.
Okay, and you know what? Let's Kevin, let's do. We didn't do the dates. So,
Oh, right.
Andrew, remind us of the dates, and we'll tack it on there. Or do you want to give Andrew the chance to say the dates real quick? Andrew, let's pause for a second, then remind us of the dates.
Okay.
So, Andrew, this is taking place very soon.
Yes, August 13th, 14th. I want to make sure I get that right. It's funny, I don't have
13th through 17th.
it is okay. So we'll say it again. Sorry if you want to ask me again.
Maybe
Ask him again.
13th through 16th.
Yeah.
I got the website right here.
13th through 16th.
So, Andrew, this is happening very soon.
Yes, August 13th through the 16th in Park City. And I will be on my way soon. And I hope that we'll see you guys there.
Thank you very much. Andrew, thank you very much. You enjoy the show, and safe travels coming over here, and enjoy, bring your appetite. I think someone said that recently.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. We'll be right back after this. That was fantastic, Andrew.
Thanks,
Thank
Andrew.
you so much.
Guys, anytime. I appreciate you doing all that research and wanting that much time with me. So thank you. And I truly hope we'll see you there.
I hope so too.
I have to leave town.
You're not gonna,
I'm gone from.
Are you filming this? I didn't even ask you that.
Oh yeah.
We'll be filming a lot of content for sure. Not for like a proper episode of the series, but where there are people and food and storytelling in 2026,
You got cameras.
there are cameras.
Thanks, Andrew.
And maybe the footage will look so good that next year's festival will be Chef's Table Live.
From your mouth.
All right.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Have a great weekend.
Appreciate it. You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.